Okay, today's video is on writing equations of hyperbolas, and we're going to put our answer in quadratic form. Let's review some things about hyperbolas. First of all, if it's a horizontal hyperbola, x is going to be the first variable. A squared and b squared, remember, a squared is always the first denominator. Now, same thing for vertical. A squared is the first denominator. But if it's a vertical hyperbola, then y is first. So we got to keep that in mind. A couple of other things to review with you. From the center to the vertex is a units. That's both directions. From the center to the focus was c units. And same direction as other direction as well. Our asymptotes were y equals plus or minus the square root of y's denominator over the square root of x's denominator. Now, I'll talk more about how we're going to use the asymptotes to write the equation. Another thing to notice in the graph is the b value. The b value was from the vertex up to here was our b value. And then same thing down here, from the vertex to the asymptote is the b value, really. Now, also you'll notice that that's going to be the length of the conjugate axis. So our conjugate axis is right here. That length is going to be 2b. Now, you can look at the transverse axis. That's going left and right, and you can tell that that's going to be 2a. That's going to come up in a couple of these problems. Everything, of course, would be the same for vertical hyperbola as well. All right, some other formulas that are going to come up is the formula to find c, which we've done this already. This is what we used when we graphed. It's kind of easier to use the c squared equal to a squared plus b squared formula. So that's going to come up. And we're going to need the midpoint formula, which goes back to Algebra 1. You take your two x values, add them up, divide by 2. Take your two y values, divide them up and divide by 2, and that's going to be the midpoint formula. There's going to be some problems that you may want to use the formula. Some problems you won't need to use the formula. You can just use the graph. Okay, example 1. Write the equation in quadratic form of a hyperbola given the vertices. So I like to graph the vertices right away to see what I'm dealing with here. So right away I see it's going up and down, so therefore I know it's going to be a vertical hyperbola. So I just write the equation right away. Vertical hyperbola has y first. A squared is always the first denominator. All right, so I have my vertices. I know it's going to be vertical. Now from this, I can do find the center. So what I can do is I can use my handy dandy midpoint formula. So I can take my two x values, add them up. Well, that's kind of pointless because I know it's going to be on this line, so I know it's going to be -3 somewhere. I would really only need the midpoint formula to figure out the y's. So I'm going to take the two y values, 2 plus -6, and divide by 2. So that's going to give me -4 divided by 2. That's -2. So now I'm going to use that as my center. Let me graph that, and now I can count to find my a value. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a is 4, distance from the vertice to the center. So I have my center, h and k, I have my a value. I'm going to need to find the b value. Well, I can't find b. I don't have any asymptotes, so now I have to use the foci that they gave me. They gave me the foci is at -3, -7. Now the other foci is at -3, +3. So since they gave me the foci, that means they really gave me the C value. So now from the center to the focus, well, I could tell on my graph that's just one extra space from the vertice, so that's going to be 4 plus the 1, so my C value is 5. So now I have to go back using my formula. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. I'm going to plug in my 5. I have my A. What I need to find is B. Solve that real quickly. Okay, so now I have A, I have B, I have my center. Now I can plug everything into my equation. Kind of running out of room, so I'm going to put it under the graph. So I'm going to have y. Remember, do the opposite when you plug it into your equation. A is 4, so I'm just going to make that 16. B is 3, so I'm just going to make that 9, equal to 1. Now we have to put that in quadratic form. Least common denominator between 16 and 9 is 144. So let me multiply by 144, 144, 144. 144 divided by 16 is going to give me 9. I'm going to square this right away to get y squared plus 4y plus 4. 144 divided by 9 is 16. Don't forget the minus. I'm going to square that right away. Let's distribute the 9. To distribute the 16, remember it's a -16, so distribute the negative sign. So now, I'm kind of going to do this all in one step. I'm going to put the x squared term first, with the x first. I'm going to do 36 and a -144, and I'm going to subtract 144 as well. So I'm going to do all that. So I'm going to have -16x squared minus 96x plus 9y squared plus 36y, 36 plus -144, and then I'm going to subtract the 144 over here. Is going to give me -252, and now I got the equal to 0. This is your final answer.